Today's hearing is about the administration of justice and keeping communities safe, something that has always been a central focus of the House Judiciary Committee. Our witnesses today have felt the effects of crime up close and personal. They've been victimized by a justice system that cares more about political correctness than punishing the criminals who've harmed them and harmed their family. We thank them for being here and sharing their story. Their stories are emblematic of a city that's lost its way when it comes to fighting a crime and upholding the law. As we all know, fairness under the law is a bedrock principle of American democracy. In this country, justice is supposed to be blind, regardless of race, religion, or creed. However, here in Manhattan, the scales of justice are weighed down by politics. For the district attorney, justice isn't blind. It's about looking for opportunities to advance a political agenda, a radical political agenda. Rather than enforcing the law, the DA is using his office to do the bidding of left-wing campaign funders. He's taken a soft-on-crime approach to the real criminals. One of Mr. Bragg's first actions upon taking office in January of 2022 was to put out a memo that directed his assistant district attorneys not to prosecute certain crimes, including trespassing and resisting arrest. The memo also stated that armed robberies should not be prosecuted as felonies. Instead, they were to be considered as misdemeanor larceny unless someone was shot during the course of the robbery. Thank goodness, after a backlash from police groups and the public, Mr. Bragg agreed to prosecute some robberies as felonies, but left the rest of the memo in place. The president of NYPD Detectives Endowment Association said, quote, "Bragg gives criminals the roadmap to freedom from prosecution and control of our streets. In Bragg's Manhattan, you can resist arrest, deal drugs, obstruct arrest, and even carry a gun to get away with it." And guess what happened under this new policy? More crime. In 2022, Mr. Bragg's first year as district attorney, New York City saw a 23% surge in major crimes. Felony assaults rose 30%.
Today, we're exposing the real impact of soft-on-crime policies destroying American cities, starting with Manhattan. In 2022, New York saw a 23% surge in major crimes. Felony assaults, up 13%. Robberies, 26%. Grand larcenies, 26%. And auto theft, a staggering 32%. This isn't just a statistic, it's a crisis. And who's to blame? Manhattan's District Attorney, Alvin Bragg. His Day 1 memo made it clear. Criminals get a free pass. Armed robberies downgraded to misdemeanors. Resisting arrest, not prosecuted. His policies have turned the streets into a war zone, leaving law-abiding citizens vulnerable. Stay informed, stay strong, and as always, keep fighting for America. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on conservative news.
15%, robberies spiked 26%, burglaries in New York City went up 23%, grand larcenies were up 26%, and auto theft increased 32%. Transit crime surged nearly 30%. Imagine that. You leave criminals on the street, you get more crime. Patrick Lynch, the president of the Police Benevolent Association, said, "Police officers don't want to be sent out to enforce laws that the district attorneys won't prosecute. There are already too many people who believe that they can commit crimes, resist arrest, interfere with police officers, and face zero consequences." We should take a minute here to thank our brave men and women in law enforcement. We got a number of them right here in this building. Thank you for what you do. In the last few years, police have been villainized and harassed by the left and even defunded. These men and women put their lives on the line every day, every single day, and they deserve our deepest gratitude. But that's not what they're getting from left-wing district attorneys here and around the country. Police do their job. They do the hard work. They go out on the streets. They catch the bad guys. And then the DAs don't do theirs, don't do their job. Instead, they let bad guys roam the street. As we'll hear today, repeat offenders are plaguing New York City. On April 6, 2023, NYPD Commissioner Sewell said, "Recidivism is the undertow pulling against everything we're doing to keep our city safe. It is counterproductive to public safety and, frankly, is a perpetual carousel of police resources." Astonishingly, Sewell said that 327 individuals were arrested more than 6,000 times for retail theft. Think about that. 327 individuals responsible for 6,000 retail thefts, what we used to call stealing, taking someone else's property. Each person arrested on average 20 times. Maybe we wouldn't have had that problem if they'd arrested them and kept them in jail after the first, the second, or maybe even the 19th time. Average of 20 times. Given the record of crime, the record level of crime we are seeing around the country, our plan this Congress has been to include field hearings in some of our greatest cities to analyze and highlight how soft on crime policies hurt families, hurt communities, hurt small business owners. We believe it's important to hear from victims and their families who simply want to share their stories, hoping that it will help create change so other families don't have to suffer like they did. What better place to start than New York City, where videos of violent, senseless attacks appear almost daily, and where the DA of Lower Manhattan earned a reputation for caring more about the perpetrators of crime than the victims. Thanks again to all our brave witnesses for being here. And thanks to the NYPD, the Capitol Police, and the Federal Protective Services for all they do to keep people safe. And now, Chair now recognizes himself for 5 minutes. Mr. Holden, you were born in New York City?
Yes.
You were raised in New York City, went to grade school and high school here in the city?
Yep.
Went to college in New York City? You got,
Yes.
I think I looked, you got an associate degree, an undergrad degree, postgrad degree, all from universities here in New York City. Is that right?
Yes, I did, Chair.
You're a professor at a university here in New York City?
Right, 44 years.
All your professional career has been spent here in New York City, is that right?
Yes.
And you received a Lifetime Achievement Award for your volunteer work from the Queens Civic Group. Is that
Yeah,
right? For your
yes.
work here in the city.
Yes.
You love this town, don't you?
I love it.
I mean, I think Mr. Gates is right. I think America loves this town.
Right.
Whether you're a Yankees fan, a Mets fan, a Giants fan, a Jets fan, the Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, Broadway, Wall Street, Americans love this city. Maybe most, I think, Americans appreciate the people of this town and the example they showed the country after that tragic day of 9/11. Do you agree with all that, Mr. Holden?
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. But right now, the policies being implemented by this district attorney are going to ruin this great city. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
It's scary, isn't it? Scary what you see. It's scary what Ms. Harrison's had to endure, what Mr. Alba's had to endure, what Ms. Brames had to endure, and what Mr. Borgen has had to endure. And it's driven by that day one memo. That day one memo which sent a message to this town, to the bad guys in this town, you can do bad things and you're not going to get prosecuted. Do you agree with all that, Mr. Holden?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's scary. Soft on crime policies are going to ruin this great city, and that's why we're here. It's happened in other cities, as Mr. Gates pointed out. That's why this is not the only hearing. We're going to have other hearings. We'll go to wherever we need to go. But this is something that has to happen, has to stop. Justice isn't supposed to be political. Now, Mr. Holden, you're a Democrat, right?
Yes, I am.
But it shouldn't matter. Republican or Democrat, I think as a lot of people said, it should not matter, should it? What's the answer, Mr. Holden? What would you recommend?
My allegiance is to my constituents. I live
Well
here. For
said.
71 years, I've lived in New York City. I've seen bad times, high crime, 2,000 murders a year in the 80s. I've not seen the lawlessness that I'm seeing today in New York City in my lifetime. That means we're afraid to go anywhere.
Let me just be clear. So in 71 years, your life here in this great city, it's never been as bad as it is today.
And I've had so many friends leaving this town because they just see the quality of life dropping. They go out on the street, there's people driving down the wrong way with electric scooters, there's people robbing stores. You know that all the pharmacies in New York City have to be under lock and key. You have to go in a case. It's so bad, these small crimes, that Mr. Bragg has said he's not going to prosecute. You don't send that message out there, and that's why we disagree. We're the same party, but we totally disagree on that. Again, my allegiance is not to the party, it's to my constituents and where I live. And again, I plan to live here, until I die, but I don't want to see it go down the drain.
Yeah. You're standing up for the folks you get to represent in Queens as part of the city council. Mr. Borgen, Ms. Fisher earlier said bad guys go into other states and buy guns illegally, and the Democrats' response is take away guns from law-abiding citizens. Is that going to work, Mr. Borgen?
Absolutely not. I just want to say one thing. You know, I sit here and listen. You're on one side, you're on one side. When Ronald Reagan was president, him and Tip O'Neill had regular meetings, got together and worked together in Congress.
That's right.
I don't understand why I have to sit here, whether you're Republican or Democrat. I'm a Republican, by the way. I now vote in Florida, and I'm a registered voter in Florida. I have Florida driver's license. Based on, I'm not planning to stay, but the fact of the matter is, if everybody would work together and not sit here and say, this party says this about Trump, about this, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. But the fact of the matter is, the criminals will get guns either way. You can do whatever you want. The criminals are going to get guns. They always have gotten guns. It's not going to change. It's not going to change. So you can sit here till your face blue in the face. You can say Congress are going to outlaw gun sales across America. They're going to get guns.
Yep.
The criminals will get guns. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's life. And Mr. Kessler sits here and says, we have to sit and take it. I never heard someone say to me, you have to take crime. I live in Long Island. Crime has now come to my area, out in the 5 towns, in a very nice suburban area. We have had robberies now in stores, and now the crime is coming toward me because I guess New York City's tapped out. They can't rob the pharmacies anymore. But they're criminals going to get guns, nothing you can do about it, absolutely nothing.
Bad guys aren't necessarily stupid. They're just bad. They're going to
just
figure
bad.
out a way to do bad things. And the key is to put bad guys behind bars so they can't harm others. And when you send that message, things get better.
There's a segment of society that always going to be criminals. It's been from day one. Nothing you can do about it. But if Mr. Bragg would lock people up, it would save a lot of headaches in New York City and save lives.
Thank you, Mr. Borgen. Gentlemen, the chair now recognizes the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Johnson, for 5 minutes.
Even police officers have spoken out. The NYPD's Detectives Endowment Association says Bragg is giving criminals a roadmap to freedom. When law enforcement does its job, but the DA refuses to prosecute, what happens? More crime. More victims. New Yorkers are fed up. Even lifelong Democrats are speaking out. Councilman Robert Holden, a registered Democrat, called Bragg's policies the worst lawlessness I've seen in 71 years. And is right, it's time to wake up America. The policies destroying New York today will spread to cities across the nation if we don't take a stand. Call your representatives. Demand accountability. Let's restore law and order.
Today, we're exposing the real impact of soft-on-crime policies destroying American cities, starting with Manhattan. In 2022, New York saw a 23% surge in major crimes. Felony assaults, up 13%. Robberies, 26%. Grand larcenies, 26%. And auto theft, a staggering 32%. This isn't just a statistic, it's a crisis. And who's to blame? Manhattan's District Attorney, Alvin Bragg. His Day 1 memo made it clear, criminals get a free pass. Armed robberies downgraded to misdemeanors. Resisting arrest, not prosecuted. His policies have turned the streets into a war zone, leaving law-abiding citizens vulnerable. Stay informed, stay strong, and as always, keep fighting for America. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on conservative news.
Even police officers have spoken out. The NYPD's Detectives Endowment Association says Bragg is giving criminals a roadmap to freedom. When law enforcement does its job, but the DA refuses to prosecute, what happens? More crime. More victims. New Yorkers are fed up. Even lifelong Democrats are speaking out. Councilman Robert Holden, a registered Democrat, called Bragg's policies the worst lawlessness I've seen in 71 years. And is right, it's time to wake up America. The policies destroying New York today will spread to cities across the nation if we don't take a stand. Call your representatives. Demand accountability. Let's restore law and order.